Gentlemen, good morning, good evening around the world. This is the fifth episode of the Gentleman Warrior podcast. And today I'm going to be talking about a topic that's pretty much a reality that many of you warrior gentlemen will experience. That I just like to give you my own input on, my 2 cents on. And that's single life as a gentleman warrior. The time's going to come where, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship with someone and it ended, or you've divorced, that you're going to want to get yourself out there again. You're going to want to go out, meet people. And if you are a gentleman warrior, if you're a man who has come from the morals of respect, vulnerability, honesty, then in all truth, you have a lot to offer. However, when you decide to go into that world again of dating, of meeting people, I dare tell you that it is a gigantic wilderness. It's a jungle out there. And I've seen that world take some of the kindest of men and turn them into animals. So I'm just going to give you some pointers that you could follow that have worked for me and have helped me with my own personal healing. Now, if you don't want to take it for its face value, you don't have to. And some of you might just say, well, who are you to talk about that? Who cares? I'm just sharing. First and foremost is do not, do not be in a rush to commit to anyone. Because there are two pains of being single: the pain of being alone, but the other possibility that can happen from it is the pain of being in the wrong relationship. I repeat, the pain of being in the wrong relationship. And that's what happens when you rush. That's what happens when you get with somebody just because you're lonely. And I'm talking about the word relationship here: committed, boyfriend, girlfriend, or if you're into men, boyfriend, boyfriend. But when there is a commitment, I am imploring you, men out there, to please take your time. I'm imploring you, gentlemen, to not rush it because, as I've told people several times in the past, if when it comes to the word commitment, it's not a hell yes, it is a not yet. So the question you're probably going to ask me is, well, what am I supposed to do in the meantime? Well, we're in a reality nowadays of a lot of oppor- opportunities. You could be casual with someone. You could get to know someone better. You could take your time with things. You can go out on dates. As long as you do these things in trust and in respect. Please do not objectify your partners. Don't treat them like pieces of meat. Don't just throw them around. You might go on a date with someone and heck, you might have sex with them, but don't treat them like a disposable afterwards. You could do so respectfully. You might go on a date with someone and it doesn't work out too well. Don't generalize like some losers do and say, oh, all women are crazy, because they're not. There are good women out there. So the important thing is, like I said, do not rush into commitments. Because at the end of the day, the commitment is the final boss. You have to be able to answer to yourself, what makes this person deserving of being committed with me? Because one thing I've learned in the past years after my divorce was there's a difference between being sexually attracted to someone and seeing a future with someone. If you're only sexually attracted to the person, then the minute you have sex, almost everything is done. Unless they prove otherwise. Almost all interest goes out the door. Unless they prove to be more than that, then you can talk about commitment. But a lot of people make the mistake of, oh no, I'm going to get no commitment first. How do you know that the person you've committed to is not crazy? How do you know if the person you committed to is not a user or a player? And again, experiencing things like these will dampen your light, gentlemen. It'll make you jaded, it'll make you angry. And eventually, you may not know it, you're already taking this anger out on women as a whole, which they don't deserve. There are women out there that are worth committing to, but unfortunately, there are also gold diggers. There are food diggers. Women who ask for a foodie call. Again, I am not generalizing, but they exist. Women who barely know you, or you haven't even met yet, and they're expecting you to send them money or take them shopping. I mean, what does that say about that woman? If you ask me, if I have a girlfriend, I'm gonna take her shopping. If we're committed, I'm gonna take her to a fancy dinner. But I'm not gonna give it to some chick I met out of nowhere. They have to earn that. And gentlemen, you have to have that self-respect. Even if you find this girl amazingly attractive, you have to ask yourself, am I simply sexually attracted to her? Or do I see something deeper that I want to commit to? Because you'll begin to realize that if the only thing you're interested in is the sexual attraction, the minute you get that, it's an empty feeling. And the only thing you will want is to have that experience with them of sex. But if you're deeper invested in that person and you see something more, you wouldn't even mind delaying the sex because you know it's worth it. It's worth the wait. Now, weirder things have happened. I mean, who am I to say? You could meet somebody on a dating app, get laid, and next thing you know, you get married. Good for you. But in most cases, the faster it begins, the faster it gets into the sack, the chances are of it lasting minimal because there's really no incentive anymore. I personally don't really not use the word approve, but suggest dating apps anymore because they're no longer dating apps, they're sex apps. When you see somebody on a dating app most of the time, you're probably just thinking they're here to get laid and so am I. So your energy sometimes changes. You notice, like, hey baby, you become like this, fuck boy. You know what I mean? Just thinking about getting laid. And if that's something you need to go through, then maybe you do need to go through that. But I'm going back to my main point. Commitment is the final boss. Commitment is the one that you're going to wake up next to, that you're going to introduce to your family. And if it's not absolutely 100% yes, then it's a no or a not yet. Never shoehorn it. Never force it. Because this is you. This is something that makes you happy. This is something that you are using as a reflection, an extension of yourself. Hello, everyone. This is my partner. This is my girlfriend. You don't want to make that decision haphazardly, don't you think? You want to have somebody that, wow, I'm amazed to introduce this girl to the people around me. Not just some chick you randomly met at some bar in the middle of the night that you've known for a day. It's okay to be sexually attracted to women. And sometimes it's okay to keep it at that. As long as a gentleman warrior, you show them respect. Now, of course, if they're going to demand you, like I said earlier, give them money and stuff like that, I'm not saying be a punk to them, but put the boundary. No, why should I pay for you? Why should I send you money? What makes you deserving of that? We're not together. Because there are women who will do that. And also there are men who just think with their dicks and just want to fuck everything in sight, and I don't consider those gentlemen. But a true gentleman warrior will always remember we came from a woman. So we should treat real women, ladies, the good ones, with respect. Another thing to keep in mind too is if you have been tied up for too long, especially if you've been in a long-term marriage, a long-term relationship, you owe it to yourself to see what's out there. Because believe it or not, experiencing the bad ones is going to make you value the good one more. The worst thing you can do at times, right after your marriage fails, you have a new girlfriend right away. Because you know what you're doing? You're actually, in most cases, making them pay for the overlapping debts energetically, emotionally, that your previous partner had. And that's going to be anathema for your relationship, gentlemen. But if you take your time and you realize and work on yourself as well, that there's no rush to commitment, see what's out there. It may be difficult for some of you. I mean, some of you might say, I'm not the casual kind of guy. Okay, then just allow experiences to fill. Meet people. See where things goes. Do it with respect. You could be a gentleman and be casual if need be. But the one thing I'm telling you is that if you rush into a commitment right away with the wrong person, you might find yourself stuck. And that'll be a lot worse than being alone. That'll be a lot worse than being single. Remember, you don't need a relationship because need is a powerful word. When you need that relationship, you're giving that person all the power. And that's where abuse begins. You want a relationship. By knowing that it's a want and not a need, you also have the decision to walk away if things don't go well. And gentlemen, I've always believed in this. If you want a relationship to work and to last, it doesn't even need to be built on love most of the times. But it must be built around respect. Because as long as there's respect, the love can and will come back if it goes anywhere. But if there's no respect, that is the beginning of the end. If you choose to go out there and commit to someone, they need to be your safe space, not your mommy. Your safe space. You can't be worried that this person wants to see you fail, because if you feel that way, then you're already fighting enemies within your own walls. Your partner needs to be that person that when you've hit the limit will help you stand, but not somebody that you expect to carry you. And as long as you have that respect for yourself, you can and will find it in a partner. But if you go around being a jerk, treating women like trash, it's going to come back to you one way or the other. Or if you go around, even worse, being a simp, you know? There's a difference between being respectful to women and being a simp. Keep that in mind. Because me, when I meet a woman, I always tell them that, ideally I'm striving for connection, which is a beautiful thing. Because you can have connection with males, females, gays, straights, lesbians. It just means there's something deeper. But if you simp over a woman, if you put them on a pedestal, you're giving them too much power. You're setting yourself up to get hurt. Remember, gentlemen, you're also a catch too. In this world of misogynistic assholes, a kind, compassionate, respectful man with boundaries is a true catch. And gentlemen, I honestly hope that that's you. See you next episode.